All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Ready as I'm gonna get.
Yeah. Whew. I always get nervous in the very beginning of these
Well,
things.
I was actually been prepping. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got some notes here. We'll see. If I get lost, let us go. Yeah.
Remember here. That's where I want you to
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah. Well, as much as I can for a wounded man. Yeah.
Where your heart remembers what your mind can't.
Hmm.
Sometimes when we connect, I remind myself of this all the time. Highly intellectual. I'm always in my head, always feeding the data, all the stuff. But I've been wanting and working on connecting more to the heart of the issue. And I have to let go and just really feel into my heart and let the heart begin to show you. Do you see photos in your head? Like when you think, or like when I say car, do you see a picture of a car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you'll be fed memories.
I get you.
It's in your body.
I follow you. Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I am Jenna McClelland, and today I am with Dwayne Van Lancker. We will be discussing my favorite topic of choice, circumcision. My favorite topic of choice for many, many, many reasons, and most importantly is because nobody is talking about it. Today is really special and important to me. In the past, I have had experts, I have had people, doctors, and other types of specialists give me insights on their perspective and what they have seen in their field that reflect the harms of circumcision. For a long time now, I have been working on deeply connecting to the heart. So often we can connect to the intellect, the data, all of the research, and spit and throw out different facts and things that we all know. However, although that is wonderful, right, it gives us a lot of information that we need, let's say if we want to go from point A to point B. But the real issue here is understanding the heart and what is really happening to the men in circumcision. Who is this man that the boy goes into? And really getting to the heart of his story, understanding where he's coming from, the type of things that have been difficult in his life, things that may have not even been able to show up because of the disturbances inside, whether that is a physical disturbance, whether that is a psychological, emotional distortion, or whatever it may be something that is a byproduct of circumcision and the harm that circumcision creates. And today I am just so excited to bring somebody who has such a profound, beautiful, beautiful, rich story, one that I think could really be one that I think he could really steward a lot of shift and a lot of change in the world for millions and millions of men. Dwayne, it's so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming on today and sharing your heart with me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share my story, which I hear so many men say, you hear so many men say, I'm fine. Well, you're not excellent. So, but being there, say they're fine. So I wonder if they really have touched into their trauma that they received at 1 day old, or like, oh, I don't remember that, it can't affect me. Or are they compensating, or they just don't realize it, or they haven't dug as deep into the psychological aspect of themselves like I have, to realize what happened, to realize how it affects every single aspect of my life. So if I can share what I have, or my lived experience, to open someone else up, then that's why we're here.
Yeah, thank you. So, as we get into the heart and see why circumcision is something that must end, and even if it were to end, let's say today, circumcision would still have its claws in humanity because it is still living inside of millions of men. And the more that we can, the more billions for sure. And the more that we can have these conversations, the more that we are opening more light into the field to help awaken people to the devastation of what is circumcision. And I have some questions. We're going to be going into a series that I specifically made for you today. And I want you to start with sharing your story. Like, tell us a little bit about where you're from. Tell us about the heart and who you are and how circumcision has impacted you. And we'll keep this about, I don't know, about 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, where I'm from. So I mean, think about the first thing is like I'm 58 years old. So 58 years ago, a lot of times they weren't even asked if parents weren't even asked if they wanted circumcision. They were just hauled off and circumcised. And I think one of the more important aspects is, and it still happens today, is that they certainly did not use anesthesia or painkillers during my circumcision. And it's hard to say that it's like the best thing that could happen to as a child, they go into shock, which is insane. It's the best thing that could happen to the infant to go in shock.
Yeah, dissociation.
That's right. So I think I was awake for the whole ride. So where the boys, and even today, these boys are experiencing circumcision with no painkillers and no anesthesia. And even if they do get a painkiller, do they wait long enough for it to be effective? And is it effective? How do you know? Because the baby can't talk or tell. So my story is like where I came from. So intimacy and affection is my PSD trigger. That's my run trigger. That's the most dangerous thing possible is going to be is intimacy. And what I've realized is that it is actually the allure, the attraction that I have for a woman that triggers it. And I believe, so after a lifetime of depression and years of therapy and thinking about my thinking and learning how the human brain operates and makes memories, I realize, and it's like, oh, that. And this isn't about a gender thing. This is about a societal thing. I'm just talking about my lived experience. Don't make it a man or woman or gender. But 58 years ago, certainly there were no men in pediatrics. So it was a woman that held me down or strapped me down, and I believe was showing me affection during the most extreme form of sexual violence imaginable. Don't let your brain run away from that. I've seen medieval drawings too. Yeah, okay, so there's some crazy things going on. Humans are bad. But given the age of the victim, I say the most extreme form of sexual violence imaginable. So they're tearing away of the flesh, the ripping away, the cutting away, the clamping off of in the genitals of an infant while I was receiving affection from a woman. So that's how I realized, it is through self-analysis, and then realizing it's like, oh, that's what I believe. That's where I believe has kept me in, because if I have an allure or an attraction to a woman, it's not a masculine, oh, I'm gonna go over there and we're gonna talk and initiate. No, it's run and protect and fear. So and it's interesting when it's like I hear the words when people say that humans are sexual creatures, sexual beings, but those words don't rhyme with me.
So how old were you when you kind of put two and two
together? Oh, how old was I when I put two?
Yeah, because
Oh,
you were obviously still in more of the subconscious state of understanding and conceptualizing your separate identity from mom, and then coming into your own self, your own understanding, your own consciousness within your body. So when do you have a specific early memory where you looked down and you saw and were like, wait a second, I'm noticing something, there's a wound here, like a little bit more into your early ages, if you can give me some more information.
I did not. I mean, I've always wondered, it's like, why did the skin change color halfway down the shaft of my penis? That I never understood, but I never put two and two together, because I've never saw another man's penis. How would I know? I don't know. And the only penis I've ever seen is pornography. And while a man has an erection, even if they did have a foreskin, it would have been retracted.
Right.
So I never. How would I know? I didn't know what it. I didn't know what a natural penis looked like. No, it was not until June of 2022 that I realized what had happened to me.
So what exactly happened to you? How is your case more severe than other types of circumcisions and botches?
So a normal,
Right.
see the air quotes, normal circumcision removes about 50% of the skin of the penis, the mobile flesh. So think about that. Your cheeks are mobile; they move back and forth. So a
Your
foreskin
eyelid.
moves,
Yeah.
like the skin on your arm does not move. So I think that the easiest way to explain is that, so if this was my sex organ, normally that what would get removed is from the scar, where the scar is, forward, which is the foreskin covering the head of the penis. So the hair on my penis grows all the way to the scar line. So not only did they remove the foreskin, but they removed all of the shaft skin and pulled the body skin up onto the penis. Not only that, my scrotum, I have what they call scrotal fusion. So my scrotum attaches at the scar line up here.
Wow.
Yeah, so it attaches all the way up here. So all of this skin has been removed. So a circumcision is an infant being skinned alive. We need to wrap our heads around that,
Yeah.
because people are, I get, people are in such denial about, they're not cutting anything off. Well, then what are they selling to the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries if they're not cutting anything off? Okay, we can start there. But when I believe in, and this is just what is my lived experience again, is that I believe that my circumciser was a vindictive sociopath to cause as much harm as he did to me. And it was a man certainly that did the cutting back in those days, because women weren't normally doctors. They were nurses. In pediatrics, certainly all were female. But my amputation is severe. I mean, I technically have a quote unquote penis, but think about it. I was thinking about this today, how to explain it. So think about a tree. A tree stands tall with its branches. If we cut all of the branches off and just left the stump, okay, that's what I have. I have a stump.
Yeah. I'm really sorry. And what's fascinating about this is because just connecting the nurturing woman aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said anytime that you see a nurturing woman, or a woman has the energy, right? Because how do you tell a woman's nurturing? It's her energy. So our brain has an association to energy. So the association to the energy of nurturing goes all the way to the original prototype of your mother, the archetype of your mom.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so that part, and that part of you that feels like your mother should have saved you. Like my
Yes.
mom should have saved me. And I
Well,
understand,
let's talk
right?
about that for a second. So not only is the abandonment, right? So at the time that a child should be nursing and warm with its mother, it's taken away, placed on a cold plastic tray, it's strapped down, bonded, and its legs are spread open, and this amputation happens. That's not where the pain stops. That child's sent home. And who's the primary caregiver but a woman? Not just any woman. So at every diaper change,
Yeah.
right, the mother is instructed to put Vaseline on the wound. do you think it's going to be painful to put Vaseline on a fresh cut, a fresh wound? Of course it is. So not only the pain does not stop at the surgery, the pain goes home with the baby and goes home with the mother. When an infant would normally feel cared for and loved and respected, is being caused pain in his genitals.
Yeah. Yeah. While it's interpreting the brain association with the energy of a nurturing mother, which ultimately creates the mother archetype for him. So now, anytime that energy of that nurturer comes forward, the brain is going to associate that with, she didn't save me. I wasn't rescued by her. I must run.
Not only didn't save me, but caused me pain.
100%. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it too. But usually when you think of the aspect of the nurturing mother, there's that energy of not having been saved and rescued by her, taken care of.
Well, yeah, of course. And it's like, and she didn't even have a chance. So
right.
I interpret circumcision as pre-verbal PTSD. So there's no treatment at this time for pre-verbal PTSD. So I was in shock and in fear of touch, in shock and in fear of intimacy, of affection. How could she possibly? How could she possibly ever connect with this child? Or me, connect with me. Yeah.
Yeah, because truly, when we think of PTSD, it's a complete somatic experience.
Yeah.
Stress is induced, but where do we feel the stress? In our body, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
those associations, again, are just coming and creating these feelings that you have, and relaying back to your brain, danger, danger, constantly.
With the person that's supposed to be protecting you and nurturing you the most.
Right. And now it's being projected onto any type of woman that walks into your life.
Well, no, I mean, I can have
that's
a friendship.
nurturing. That's nurturing.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah. I can have a friendship and we can talk and it's fine. But if the arousal or intimacy is triggered, then yeah,
okay,
then it's run.
Yeah.
Run, fear, protect.
Yeah, go the opposite way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a physical scar. I mean, the physical scar is evidence of the trauma, but it's the sexual trauma, it's the emotional trauma, it's the psychological trauma, the neurological, the somatic, as you speak, neurological.
Yeah, and the psychic and the spiritual, because it's disrupting those archetypes. And it's disrupting the ability for you to use your intuition, which is all connected to the pineal gland, which actually is circumcised when men get cut metaphysically. That is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I personally, I call circumcision the deepest cut of all.
Yeah. Oh, every layer.
Every layer. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It hits really deep. And I could keep going, but I've got a series of questions I want to keep asking you.
Bring it.
So, how has your story impacted your identity as a man in society today?
Failure. Failure as to be a man, and what that means in society, where the man would be protect and give and take care of. I completely stepped away from all of that because I didn't feel worthy. So that's another aspect that most people don't even think about, is like, I was not even worthy as a person when I was born. I had to be modified surgically to be accepted. So that unworthiness it goes deep. So I would repeat the question.
Yeah, just how has it impacted your identity?
Okay, so circumcision has stolen everything from me. It's stolen my ability to have a child. in the fact that I was not going to subject another life form to this existence. So when you're born and have that much pain, trauma, and wounding, it went deep enough to where I was not going to subject another life form to this existence. So it cost me any chance of having a child. It cost me any chance of having a relationship. Because anytime I didn't know why. I didn't know why until 3 years ago, June of 2022, when I finally realized that it hit me. Oh, that.
Wow.
It took away my ability to have a relationship with a partner because there was no nurturing and caring and open up and being masculine and relaxing. No, no, none of that was possible in my state at the time for 52 years. So in my opinion, circumcision took my life, the life of the man I was supposed to be, or the life of the man I could have become. What is left is the shell who's intellectually worked out who I am and allowed myself to live the trauma and to know that that isn't me, that it was something done to me. And I'm not broken. Society is broken.
Wow. I'm holding back tears. Thank you for sharing that. It's pretty profound when you can think of the masculine example and what's possible, and to have had such a lived experience where you feel that the potential of that was ripped away from you at such an
Absolutely.
early age.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
But circumcision took my life,
Yeah.
took the life of the man I was to become. And it takes every little boy's life in the life that they were to become.
Yeah. So how did this story impact you? Because you kind of mentioned this already. So this is actually, we're pretty on it and you're already a step ahead of me. So when it comes to pursuing your dreams, achieving goals, truly being successful, going from point A to point B, and really manifesting and creating this life, this vision that you have for yourself. Tell me how your story has impacted that specific type of psychology and success.
That I wasn't worthy.
Just unworthiness.
Unworthiness. Because I wasn't even worthy. I wasn't worthy when I was born. They strapped me down and cut me because I wasn't good enough. Right? Perfect little baby boy. Oh, hand me the knife. The cognitive dissonance that allows the society for this to happen is shocking. It took away my ability to move forward. So goals and dreams and aspirations are not there when you don't have the ability to move forward.
So you feel stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there's a difference now. You feel a little bit more movement.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The only, and I will say that so, and this seems odd to someone that hasn't had this lived experience, but I literally prayed for death my entire life because who wants to live this way? No one wanted to live the way I've lived my entire life. So I finally come to the point where it's like, the reason that I'm here today, the reason I do what I do, the thing that moves me forward and the goals that I have is to save one child from genital cutting. And I want to say genital mutilation, but it's like people are like, oh, it's not mutilation. Yeah, it is. When you cut into the healthy tissue of a person, it's mutilation. It's simple. but it is. So genital cutting, if I can save one child from genital cutting, that's my goal. That's what I spend hours a day doing. I'm an intactivist, so we're called intactivists. We use the word intact, meaning a whole man, and activist. So I'm an intactivist, for those that don't know. And I spend hours a day on social media doing the best I can to bring awareness to what is happening to. So I was saying 1 million boys a year. Intact America is saying 1.5 million boys a year. That's like every 20 seconds, an infant is being strapped down and being skinned alive.
Yeah, I think it's 25 seconds, something like that.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah. And that's 24/7. So if you think about they only do it during business hours, well, we're only talking like every 8 seconds or every 10 seconds that a little boy is being strapped down and being skinned alive. And that's what circumcision is being skinned alive. So I do have goals, aspirations, and now, absolutely, yes.
And that's fueled by the cause.
It's fueled by the cause of saving one.
Yeah.
Saving one. And I also do educational street outreach with bloodstained men. We have used theatrical influences to bring awareness and attention to the harms being done to the genitals of infants.
Yeah, that's where I met you last year here in Austin.
Correct.
Yeah. I love that you guys do that.
Yeah.
One just thing that I keep thinking about is, even though it has been this long up until 2022, when everything kind of really, the light came on and you really started to connect the dots, essentially. And for everything that you've ever felt, and to redirect that energy into this is just really so beautiful to me, because there's so many who go through this type of experience and they may not have had that type of severe extraction as you have, but they're very lost and they do feel stuck in life and unable to go from point A to point B, and how to even fully ground ideas in, right? Because we are manifestors. We create the physical form. We pull in from ideas and we make come alive. And so for men, to be a leader, an effective leader, and to have success and really manifesting things and alchemizing so that you can lead others into a mission. And we're here to heal, evolve, and serve. So it's just, there's still such beauty to have finally connected to what was going on and how that energy could be redirected into something so big, because I find your story to be so incredibly profound, because here you are, who, you've suffered so much unworthiness and not being enough and not feeling protected and running away from society and running away from the nurturing energy of a mother, and carrying a lot of that deep anger inside of yourself. This can be something that men experience, but they don't know where it's coming from. So I'm just so happy that you were able to really connect the dots. And the reason why your story is so important is because of the heavy extraction, the connecting of the dots, and saying, this is what my life has looked like, but this is what I'm choosing that I don't want to experience anymore, by speaking up about it and educating people what can happen to an infant and the type of man that he grows into and what evolves out of that.
Well said. Yeah. Well said to every aspect, and at the heart, definitely the heart of the matter. And I find it most shocking that people, mothers, fathers, society, think that you can strap down an infant and tear away its flesh and cut it off, and it's not going to affect them for the rest of their lives, because they quote unquote, they don't remember. Not cognitively don't remember that. No, but physically, somatically, you know, in their nervous system, in their, everyone knows that it's like, you know, show me the boy before he's 7 and I'll show you the man. Everybody knows that our subconscious mind remembers everything. The subconscious remembers everything. Everybody knows that. No one's going to argue that. But then they'll argue that it's not going to, that the most extreme form of sexual violence imaginable is not going to affect a boy and the man that he's going to become, in his relationships to his own parents, and relationships to each other. And to think about, it just blows my mind. 35% of the American population as we speak have been genitally mutilated. And to think that you're going to have a functioning society with that numbers involved. So 70% of the men are genitally cut.
Right, but then the population,
The total, we're talking about 35% of the total human population in the United States. Yes, 70% of the men have been genitally cut, but
right.
35%, 1/3, fully 1/3 of the people you see every day, all day, have been genitally cut. Wow, I got chills right now. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy. So we're going to lean a little bit more into the emotional side of things. And I'm curious how you're going to do great. How has this impacted your emotions, your emotional connections when it comes to being with women, connecting with women, or when it comes to connecting with a romantic partner? Like, what can you share to give us some information on what your experience has been like with women from the heart of the matter, from the type of experience that a man would truly like to experience, mind, body, and soul, with a woman?
My emotional connection is filtered through fear. So we may, as humans, want a connection with a partner, but that connection for me is through trauma and fear, and not the masculine, but the expectation. So it's not a relaxation, it's an expectation. It's kind of hard to
You can take your time.
yeah. It's almost as though I'm living from that little boy's experience, that a nurturing connection that is positive and worthy is impossible. That's how I feel when the arousal, the attraction, the possibility. Now, I've done a lot of healing in the last 3 years, and I think I'm certainly closer to what people say is possible, to relax, to believe. And it did. It happened for me this year for the first time in my life, that either a woman loved me for the first time, or I allowed myself to feel love for the first time in my life last year. And speaking of 2025, since we
Right.
just stepped into 2026, so yeah, it was last year. But to feel accepted, to feel worthy, to feel like I didn't have to perform, that I was just accepted as I am, happened to me the first time this past year. And I think that it's definitely because of the healing that I've done, because of that person. Yeah, it's just, yeah. And yeah, it just seems insane that it took 57 years to feel that.
And so if you were to compare that with any other women that have been in your life, fear would basically be the common denominator and the inability to open and obviously feel safe.
Yes, and again, and it's like so, and I think it goes back to that lived childhood experience to where it's the diaper change, and that's what comes to my mind is and it's like when you're supposed to, the time that you would have been feeling connected and nurtured and loved, the diaper change comes, the pain comes to the sex organ, um, and it just seems so ridiculous to think about that it's something that happened when you were a day old. Because my circumcision was before I left the hospital. So I was probably hours old when this happened. To think about that one extreme experience affected me through my entire life and the way I saw love, the way I saw intimacy, the way I saw affection, absolutely was that lived experience, through that lived experience. Absolutely.
Yeah, you keep mentioning the diaper change, and
Yeah.
I agree with you because what it does, it compounds the circumcision imprint. So it makes the neural network stronger because you're kind of being held down while the diaper is being changed and removed. And again, the genitals are being messed with or cleaned or whatever it is that they're doing for the diaper change. So that is going back into the body and
Well,
strengthening.
and I have mentioned it over and over again because I'm trying to drive that home to people because I never hear that mentioned. I never
Yeah.
hear that mentioned.
Yeah. In car seats too, because
Absolutely.
you're being strapped down again and
Being
held.
strapped down, and not only that, so take a newborn infant and
Yeah.
strap it down into that car seat because the car seats have a thing that goes between the legs,
Yeah.
and it's pressing on his tiny mutilated penis. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that a woman has showed up in your life to offer a
yeah,
new light in this experience for sure.
yeah. Well, yeah. We don't. There's too many. The distance between, and there's too many variables involved, and it's like I don't see myself being with that woman, although that would be fantastic. But to know that it's possible, to know that it's possible, and to never know that before in my life. Uh, yeah,
Were you able to experience, if you don't mind me asking, sexual intimacy with her?
I have not.
You have
No.
not. Have you had successful sexual intimacy with a woman?
It depends on what's successful, right? What successful is, and it's like successful intimacy would be open. It would be caring. It would be without fear and with intent, not the intent, but the openness. So the openness has ever been there, right? So it's
Well,
always with expectation. And for me, intimacy, sex with a woman for me is painful. So we talked about how much skin has removed from my penis, and there's an erection for me is painful.
really? Okay.
The skin is just so tight and pulled so tight and hard that that it is not comfortable. So going back to how much skin was removed. So I had a buried penis, certainly teens, 20s into my 30s, had a buried penis because so much skin was removed, it just pulled the penis back into the body cavity. There was not enough for the penis to grow into. So I certainly didn't let anybody see that. there was no, people talk about, oh, they're going to get teased in the locker room. It's teased in the locker room. Hell, try having a buried penis. Try that one and go in the locker room. See if you want to get teased, my little boy might get teased because he has an intact penis with a foreskin. Try amputating so much skin from your child that has a buried penis and there's no penis sticking out beyond the body cavity.
It's unbelievable. I can't imagine. And I'm a
So I
woman.
certainly didn't let a woman see that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just avoided intimacy at all costs.
Yeah.
And then to have painful erections every time you have an erection, who wants that?
Right.
No one. Yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is going to be a little bit more sensitive.
Okay.
And take your time answering. And if you are uncomfortable, you don't have to answer. How do you feel each time you look at your wound or when you look at your body and you see what was done to you?
How do I feel when I look at my wound that I'm less of a man? That doesn't mean I can't be masculine. But that means that part of me was cut away and I'm less of the man. I'm less of a man that should have been. I see the scar. I see the wound. We talked about it. I have hair growing on the shaft of my penis all the way to the scar line. To even use to think about this, and it's like, men my age, and it's like, we're starting to have erectile dysfunction. Well, how much of that is because of an amputation?
A lot of it.
But to try a penis pump, I can't even use a penis pump because it just sucks my balls up into the penis pump because
of where it, right,
because my scrotum is attached all the way up at the scar line. So even if I try to use it, it's super painful because my testes are being smashed into the pump itself. So how do I feel when I look down at my scar line? I'm less than. I'm less than. I'm less than who I should be. And how can and the psychological aspect of that, and it's like to look down at my mutilated penis, and it's like, what woman wants that? How can I offer myself to a woman and think that she's going to want a mutilated penis? And why would a woman want a mutilated penis?
Yeah. Do you think so you don't think a woman would ever be able to sync up with you because
I think that the connection is different for a woman. A connection for a woman is the presence. And I've come into my presence. I've stepped away from the fear and the disconnect of my entire life and stepped into my own presence. So yeah, I think a woman would. Yes.
I love that. I even heard the tone of your voice change there too. Yeah, you really tapped into it. Yeah.
Because and men are so disconnected, and what they think is the masculine is them compensating. It's not masculine. They're compensating, and they're trying to be what they think is masculine. But until they really step into what the masculine really means, and me having less penis does not stop me from being a masculine man.
That's awesome. And I love how there's this energy about you that is like you're really tapping into that source, you're tapping into that archetype, which is really beautiful and profound. And so as you are currently embodying this divine masculine, these qualities, these energies, do you still feel right now that you are less of a man?
physically, yes, of course, but am I less of a man? No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Because I was thinking if once you, because I believe and I know that once you align to the restoration of the divine masculinity, then
Mhm.
absolutely you are you're the embodiment of it. So you're going to constantly exude the presence, the being penetrative, being the action, the go-getter, the one who creates barriers to protect and to
Container.
yeah, and to be on the journey of really
Mhm.
understanding what you're here for, how you can heal to become that man. It's just there really is no more beautiful story, which is why I'm so happy that we're having this conversation and that naturally you are capable of tapping into something that I want all men to be able to experience. And how profound would that be if healing was able to evolve to a certain place where even physically there was a part of you that could still allow the physical integration to feel into this same experience, the same energy of it.
If they're willing. So the men now, and it's like first they have to admit that they were at least it have to admit they were harmed. The I'm fine is not going to take them through their trauma and into the masculine. First off, they have to admit that they're less than. I'm less than. I'm less of a man than the less physically less
Right.
than. Um, and to say that I'm fine because they're able to maintain an erection and penetrate a woman. You're missing the whole thing. Okay, so this like here's another aspect that brought me to where I am today. When I'm with a woman and she's having an orgasm, what the hell is going on in there? Because my lived experience is not what I'm seeing. And it's like, what the hell is going on in there? And it's like, you're going into another realm. It's like, we as circumcised men do not feel that. It's just, it's the act. When, I say the act, so the penetration. So it's the act and then it's the release. And it's like, there's like this very tiny window leading up to that. And women don't have that experience. It's like, what the hell is going on in there? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the female body is definitely much more of a beautiful instrument and
I
labyrinth.
wonder though, but is an attack? Does an intact man have those sensations that I'm seeing from a woman? I would. Okay.
Yes, yes, intact men are having, because women are, I'm assuming, experiencing more of a full body, because there's different layers of types of orgasms that women
Yeah.
can experience. You can experience a clitoral orgasm, which is going to be more superficial. It's going to be something that tenses her body and she kind of has a little bit of a jerk.
Okay.
A G spot
Yeah.
orgasm is going to be more vagina based and it's going to be deeper. Usually, and within this area, you will feel a lot of more secretion. This is usually where the woman can ejaculate.
Mhm.
And it's a deeper, more profound, and fuller bodied experience. And then women have the cervical orgasm, which is the pinnacle of all orgasm.
Right.
The cervix is connected to the vagus nerve, and it's one of the biggest nervous system resets for women. And on from a Taoist alchemical, sexual alchemical perspective, they are the most cleansing. They can cleanse and remove any stuck sexual energy and help women shed lots of things from their parasympath or their nervous system in general so that they can feel more embodied and authentic. It also connects to the pineal gland, and the pineal gland helps women open. So it expands higher levels of consciousness, also due to the fact that neuroplasticity is activated and it fires new neurological pathways that can embed a more positive, better experience and start to remove any old networks that are there. And because new networks are being built. So that's why it's very healing.
So from what I've learned is that the foreskin is also attached to the vagus nerve. So I'm assuming that an intact man would have somewhat of a similar experience, but when the foreskin is amputated during circumcision, then
Energetically, cut men can have full body experiences.
yeah.
There's breath exercises. There's really understanding how the lower abdominal, the pelvic diaphragm operates, strengthening that area,
Yeah.
and also being able to release stuck sexual energy that maybe have. Some men can experience that through prostate massage. Some stuff that is like kind of happening more towards that area is a big release for men, but it's utilizing a breath circuit and cycle that moves from the genitals all the way up the spine to the crown of the head and like down the pineal gland through the front. And you basically create like the sexual energy circuit that moves and feeds the most potent type of energy that we create as humans is sexual, because we're like God, we can create life and all the things that we have, which is why circumcision is so impactful, because it's the storage room for men's intuition and his creative factors and faculties. But circumcised men can also experience full body orgasms, but it's an ejaculation. It's not an ejaculation.
The words, maybe I'll work on that. I hear the words.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
experience, I
Yeah.
know. The
Yeah.
experience, no.
But you nailed it. A lot of men think that they're having orgasms,
Yes,
but they're actually just ejaculating. They're
it's just an
not.
ejaculation.
Right.
Correct. That's
That's
what
the point.
they're calling an orgasm, and
Right.
they don't know what an orgasm is
Right.
because they can't know because they've had their foreskin amputated.
Yeah. Well, and then we can also get into the whole realm of pornography and how it's really conditions the performance, and more cut men are prone to receive and need more materials. Like they need to prove by performance, achievements, all the things to compensate for not being whole.
It's interesting you say that because I wonder, because it's like for me, and it's like I can't have sex in the dark. I need
And
the lights,
yeah,
visual.
yeah,
So I wonder what aspect of that, because of the sensation of the sensory inputs from the foreskin have been removed, that it, for me, and it's so much more visual, which makes pornography make sense, which I try to avoid.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I would highly recommend it.
yeah, um, it's like when I need a release, though, and it's like, yeah, I try to avoid
Truth
it.
be told,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Hey, we all need that thing to take the edge off. Totally,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. All right.
But I think that and the other thing people don't realize about, a little education about the foreskin, is the foreskin actually has estrogen receptors in it,
Yes.
in the foreskin itself. And it's like, talk about connection with a woman that I will never know. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that last statement is leading kind of into the next question.
Okay.
Be as raw. You've already been extremely raw and opened, which I really appreciate, because I'm an open book. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I need to shut my mouth at times, but
Yeah, no, I'm trying to be, yeah, I'm
yeah,
trying to speak, because I'm trying to speak for the men that can't.
yeah,
And going back to the bloodstained men, when I'm on the street corner with our educational outreach, I see the men driving by, and all they can do is do a little wave or tap the horn, and it's because they can't speak out in society. So, anyways, go ahead with that question about being raw. Let's hear it.
Have you experienced any form of resentment towards the rest of the world or your family because of what happened to you?
Yes, absolutely. I blame society for not protecting me. I blame my parents for abandoning me. I blame society for not protecting me. I blame the law for not protecting me. I blame the medical institution for using me as a source of profit instead of care. And I blame the world for turning their back while this is happening. I resent, yeah, I have a lot of resentment. I try not to let that out. It doesn't do any good. I would like to forgive. I'm not there yet. And I know forgiveness is for my own good. Forgiveness is not for the other person. They're going to have to forgive themselves. They're going to have to forgive themselves for what they did to me. But I know that forgiveness is for myself and it's going to allow me to move forward. There.
How old were you when you said something, or did you ever say anything to your parents, and how old were you?
Oh, I was 52.
Okay,
And
so
my
it was still, so everything really is that recent. Like there
last 3
was
years,
no
since June of,
Okay, so truly, it was like you maybe have had a moment where you noticed some stuff in the locker room, but other than that,
right,
it was just a couple years ago that everything officially came online.
June of 2022.
And that unfoldment was,
Yep.
what was that experience like? Like, did it
It
hit
was
you
a,
like a tsunami?
well, you know what? Well, then for me, it was not anger. It was grief. And it was grief of the person that I could have become. And it was also, what's the word I'm looking for? Release, an acceptance of how I've lived my life and how I've avoided relationships and the realization to why I've done that. And it was just relieving. It was relieving to the fact, and it's like, oh, well, no wonder I've lived my life this way. No wonder I've literally run from intimacy and affection. Um, and it's sometimes not a nice way when women have, tried to be intimate, and it's like I just push them away. And sometimes not a nice way, and I feel bad about that. And if I apologize to them, if anybody ever, if they're ever going to see this, but um, even recently in the last few years, um, push, run, avoid, and eye contact is the most difficult. Hell, it took me months before I could even look at a picture of you.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Interesting.
yes, because of the attraction, the allure would trigger that. It months before I could even look at the picture. Yeah, to be here now is a growth itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I'm not so bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, you're definitely not. Um,
Yeah.
it's the realization was a relief. It really was. Why? No wonder I'm so screwed up. Was the relief and the acceptance, and um, not so much of the shame, but the feeling I had when I realized it was actually relief. It was to realize why I've been this way my whole life.
It just, everything all of a sudden made sense. It's because of all
Yes,
that confusion. That sounds incredibly confusing.
yes,
Because you've also
yes,
been through divorce, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. And then to
exactly
kind
what it
of
was.
put everything together.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
then, um, and that's certainly I was certainly never be able to connect with her, which isn't fair to her because how could I?
Yeah.
I was living in this disassociative state, and it wasn't an acceptance. It wasn't an acceptance of love. It was a performance.
On whose behalf? Like yours
Right,
was. Like you were
right.
always in this so you were faking.
Perform, right. What I should, trying to figure out what I should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you know a little bit more of who you are now that you're kind of
Oh
coming into
God,
it?
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would you say, from what I understand, is, and specifically in the metaphysics of circumcision, one of the there's the metaphysical circumcision of the mind, actually, because the mind is a male genital organ. So think of the mind as it ejaculates thoughts and ideas all the time. So think of thoughts as and ideas as sperm, right? So they're coming up, all these thoughts and ideas are coming up, so men can really understand and see their highest and greatest self identity and how they can really ground situations or ground these ideas in and go from point A to point B. And one thing that starts to happen is it starts to imprint a low self-esteem imprint. So they feel insecure. They're unable to do things.
Absolutely.
What's wrong with me? I'm frustrated. Why can't I have a plan, but why can't I have it go together? Why don't I see myself in a higher vision? And
Mhm.
so I bring the low self-esteem imprint forward because I'm curious if you think that there's a correlation between there being some low self-esteem insecurities when it comes to some more attractive women, because there's something there that makes there's like usually when, and I've had this many times when, and a lot of people choose partners that either they don't feel as threatened or they have anything more than they do because they want to feel like it's even. So I'm curious if any of that relates. Do you think there might be some of this natural metaphysical circumcision, low self-esteem imprint that has impacted the connection with more attractive women?
At every waking moment of my life. You said that so well and eloquently that um, yes, because I don't feel, because the allure triggers the my PTSD, my fear, my run, that any attractive, alluring woman, I can't even, in the past, can't even go there. I can't even go to the idea that I could be with them.
Yeah. And then you'd feel really exposed, correct? All of a sudden, you would have to be vulnerable and share yourself. And last thing you'd want is to feel rejection.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing, and how you feel about and how the circumcision even cuts into the metaphysical is what you were just saying, was that these ideas as out of your mind, right? So it it cuts into that as well, because oh, those aren't even worthy, because I wasn't worthy. My physical body wasn't worthy, and that I had to be cut as a child because that I wasn't good enough. That goes into the mind of the man, that I'm not good enough. I had to be cut. So there
Yeah.
must be something wrong with me. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
It- it-
What's fascinating is, and I said this at the very beginning of
and
this
and you just made me
platform.
realize that. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we are so, and I was even telling this to you the other day when we were on the phone. We are so attached to data, the god of science, and bowing down to it, and like we need it to prove what we already know deeply, but we're so congested by conditionings and other types of traumas and archetypes that exist that are actually not there for our benefit. So um the metaphysical is the experience that you have every day. So sure, we have the data. We can look at the receptors on the foreskin. We can look at the mucosal lining and all the Meissner's corpuscles and all the stuff and the altered what is it, the socio altered processing, which study I'm talking about, all of them. But when we get to the core of it, the reason why circumcision is not only a spell, but it's a curse on men, because you're experiencing the metaphysical byproducts of what's being done, what's been done, how it's
Yes.
been harmful, how it's poisoned your everyday experience with
For my entire life.
the castration of your male genital organ of your mind, the castration
Yes.
of your heart, because when the heart also, although the heart is more female, the heart ejaculates and emits energy, emotions, frequency. So when that valve has been cut from a metaphysical standpoint, that ability to love oneself and to turn the self-acceptance and being enough back inward is unavailable. And that's why a lot of men are joining all these different courses and all these things, and they're not really seeing much benefit. So again, this isn't about me. I'm trying to keep this about you, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
share that. Go ahead.
Well, they're joining these courses and learning, and because they're trying to learn how to be masculine. When their
Mm,
masculine was cut from them at birth, and
yeah.
they're not putting two and two together.
Yeah.
And until they accept the fact, until they hold their penis in their hand and they look down and they see that scar that's been there their entire life, and realize something was taken from them. And all they got to do is look down, and where the skin tone changes color, that's where the scar line is. That's what you have left of the sex organ you were born with. When they accept that, then they can start being masculine. When they accept that they were harmed, that's when you can be masculine. And I'd like to step into the fact of where you said the data. And I've heard so many parents say, well, give me the data of why we should not cut off the foreskin of our child.
Prove it to me. Let me see it. Prove it. It's like, we don't need to prove it to
Right,
you.
right. Prove to me why you need to cut it off. And the proof, the data that they're going to quote is, we live in a genital cutting culture. So any research is going to, that's been paid for, because all research, it doesn't happen unless the money, follow the money. Research doesn't happen unless it's been funded. So any research is going to be in support of the genital cutting culture that we live in. Oh, this is why it's a good thing. This is a benefit. It's cleaner. If I cut your finger off, you're never going to get any dirt under your fingernail, right? Of course it's cleaner. I can't argue with that it's cleaner. But I can argue, wait a minute. Okay, I got something to dig into. Wait a minute. Okay, so think about this. The foreskin naturally covers the head of a penis. So the foreskin naturally covers the head of the penis. So the head of the penis is normally an internal organ. So a man with a foreskin has an internal organ. So when he has intercourse with his partner, it's an internal organ going into the internal organ. When you amputate that foreskin, and now I have an external organ, now I'm putting an external organ into the internal of the female. Cleaner for who?
Yeah.
Certainly not cleaner for the woman.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
So
Right.
cleaner for who? Yeah,
Yeah.
some people clean babies' genitals with knives.
Yes. But like, let's like look at our ancestors for a second.
Yep. Hundreds of thousands of years.
They didn't have science. They didn't have labs and lab coats and all these things to prove what we already know. So how can we make this more simple and get right and go ahead?
Every mammal on Earth has a foreskin. Every male, every female mammal on Earth has a foreskin. And your audience, some of your audience right now is going, the women are like, I don't have a foreskin. Yes, you do. It's the
Yeah.
clitoral hood. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
pull back that clitoral hood to expose the clitoris, right? Imagine amputating that, except your
Oh,
clitoral hood is like the size of my thumbnail,
oh, it's tiny. Oh,
right?
there,
And my
it's like a
foreskin would have
pen.
been the size of the palm of my hand. It would have been, an adult foreskin is about the size of a palm of his hand. That's how much skin was removed.
Yeah.
More than that for me, because all of my shaft skin was taken off as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we make it simple? Like you said, how do we make it simple?
Just I'll finish with this. It's, how did we come up with Ayurveda, with yoga? Was it Dalton who came up with the idea of the atom? Everything was intuited. Everything, we are an open channel to the superconscious and to God. And when we actually can really feed into our body fully and have the capacity without circumcision to utilize our pineal gland, to put our thoughts, all the sperms together, to bring it together with the heart for this beautiful idea of immaculate conception, we can also understand truth and understand what isn't. So it's just getting back to our natural instincts, the natural ability for humans outside of conditioning, outside of trauma entities, outside of these archetypes that have taken us over, because we've got the medical archetypes or the medical trauma that we're all going through with these brainwashings. We have the religious cult that has also fed in these beliefs that are keeping people locked into these specific ideas. And then it's just the cultural and the societal ones as well. Hence, you referred earlier to the locker room. So when I say simplify, it's simplifying to the natural ability of us as humans to deeply connect to something bigger than us, because we have it within us to bring to earth as it is in heaven.
The natural thing is to
The,
protect the child.
yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
that's
And
it's
not altercation.
right. And
Right.
it's been learned out of the parents and society not to protect the child. And
Exactly.
we're gonna cut part of his penis off, and he's gonna be better for it. No, no, he's not. No, and it's gender-based violence. It's yeah, it's the lab coats, and it's the uniform. I want to say the uniform. So you mentioned the religious leaders. They're wearing these robes, and they're wearing the uniform of someone in authority. You go to the doctor, they're wearing a doctor's lab coat. That's the uniform of someone in authority telling you to cut part of your baby off. So you're giving away, the parents are giving away their own autonomy to the this quote unquote higher authority, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And women know, moms know,
We know.
they know to
We know.
protect the child.
Yeah.
They know, and I see it in the social media posts that, oh, he's going to feel pain, and I don't want him to feel pain. Well, then don't cut him.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. But they have their own programming that's literally wired in their brain that's telling them to do it.
Yes.
So that trauma acts as a person and literally makes them go do it, because it's taking over their capacity to think and how they want to
Yes.
behave in alignment
Right.
to these needs. Right.
Because they're giving their autonomy way over to the authority, and the authority must know better because they've gone to school and I haven't. Because they have the research. Show me the research to why I should not cut part of my baby off.
Exactly. The research thing. I'm so
Can,
ready for people
can,
to be able to connect to all that.
can I go back to something you said about how our ancestors had a foreskin and how this is hundreds of thousands of years? Well, think about this, that as a mammal, we have to feed ourselves, we have to procreate, and not die. Okay, where are the lions and tigers or bears? I have to get something to eat, and I have to make more of myself. I have to make babies in order to keep the species going. If there's anything that's not going to have, or let me rephrase that, if there's anything on the human body that would have been um, put out by evolution, it's going to be the sex organ. It's going to function properly.
Exactly.
Because we have to procreate in order to keep the species alive. Of course, your sex organ is going to work properly. You don't have to modify it. There's your data.
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of years of
Yeah.
evolution, or
Yeah.
whatever, or not evolution, or by design.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the other aspect is if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in a quote unquote God, and that God created man, do you really think he screwed up that part? Everything else is good and perfect and in his image, but that part we got to cut that part off. No, no, that was man-made.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I'm so happy that we were able to meet and you were to be as raw and honest and authentic and
I hope
frank.
I made it clear. I hope I made it as clear as I possibly could. And it's my lived experience. It's not data. It's not, you're not going to find it in a textbook. It's the lived experience that I've.
Yeah, it's the stories that I think are the important, and I think it's what's going to help us get out of this, is getting to the heart of the issue and to understand what it is that's truly happening to men consciously, unconsciously, and behind closed doors. There's so
Yes.
much to be revealed through the trauma of circumcision, and I find you to be such a light. Although you might have been late to the story, you had, or late to the party,
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
story. Um, it's just so incredible to hear the sadness, hear the grief, hear the confusion.
Hmm.
And then at the very end, also get to experience that energy that all of a sudden just like you radiated, like you just omitted that masculine aura about you, and how this is an energy that can be tapped into, and how you are such an incredible example for all men, that although you can have something as horrible as experiencing that type of pain as an infant,
Hmm.
and to have
Rejection.
that, yeah, and have that type of sexual experience of pain
Yeah.
and insecurity and feeling less of a man physically is not a joke. And to show up and to be here, Dwayne, is it's an honor for me to be in your presence, and I could honestly cry because I want you to know that you are not your story, and that I feel your pain, and I might not be able to feel your pain as deeply as you do. That's your body. I don't think anybody would ever be able to feel that. But what I want you to know is that there is a beautiful piece inside of you that we all got to experience today. And that is the expression of your divine masculine, which is a voice of God. And that God does live inside of you. And I believe that the more that you sync up with that essence that's inside of you, the more that you allow yourself to embody that, the more that you will attract a woman that no matter what, she will still love you for how you are today, because of the presence that you offer, because you are a true leader, you are a true hero, and one that I think is missing in mainstream because the role models we see today are rather distorted.
Hmm.
And I deeply believe you deserve to live a wonderful life, even if it starts at 58. And I deeply see you being a lot happier and more fulfilled as each and every day we wake up, put our feet on the earth, and know that if it's just one baby, we will do it.
Thank you. I feel that. I felt that inside. That was beautiful.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I really mean it.
Save one. And I did write something down, and I'd like to share that. If you're a man, you're not broken. If you're a woman, your instincts matter. And if you're a parent, protection starts with listening. Just listen to yourself. You know that inside of you, you want to protect your child. And fathers that want to cut their own son, that it can stop with you. it can stop with you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's
Jenna.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Anyone who is watching this beautiful story and would like to reach out, if you would like to be interviewed, if you have a story that you would like to be shared with me, please connect. And if there's any information that you want more about me or how to get in contact with me, there's a quick form you can sign on my website, which is alchemizewithjenna.com. And you'll be able to connect and we'll see what we can do together. But for another time, Dwayne, again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening and for stopping by. We're sending you so much love, and we hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Jenna.
Bye.